So why matzah on Pesach? Matzah is the bread that our fathers and mothers ate in the land of Egypt while they were slaves. God tells Moses, on the 10th day of the month of Nisan, take a lamb and guard this lamb until the 14th day of the month of Nisan. On the 14th day of the month of Nisan, slaughter this lamb, take the blood of the lamb, and paint your door with the blood of the lamb to mark that this is the house of a Jewish family. That way God will know to pass over the homes of the Jewish people. That's why this holiday is called Passover, because on the 14th night of Nisan, God passed over our house when he gave the Egyptians the plague of the firstborn and slayed the Egyptians' firstborn. On the 14th night of Nisan, the Jews sat in their home and ate the sacrifice of Passover. And how did they eat the meat of this lamb? On matzah with bitter herbs. Moses tells the people of Israel, when you enter the land of Israel, don't forget to sacrifice the sacrifice of Passover every year and eat it with matzah and bitter herbs. After the plague of the firstborn, the Egyptians come to the people of Israel and force them to leave Egypt. Leave Egypt, we don't want you here anymore. We got 10 plagues because of you. We don't want you as slaves anymore. Just leave. They scurry the people of Israel out of Egypt before the people of Israel have time to make themselves food for the voyage through the desert. The people of Israel quickly make dough that doesn't have time to rise, and out of this dough, they make matzah. And they eat matzah on their way out of Egypt. And therefore, every year from the 14th day of Nisan, for 7 days, we eat only matzah and no bread at all. We don't eat any chametz or any bread or wheat that has risen. So who is the Passover Seder for? The Passover Seder is actually for the children, because the Torah commands us to tell our children on this day that we left Egypt about our redemption. And how are we going to tell the kids? Well, we have to make it interesting. And so our sages thought of many ways to make the Seder as interesting as possible for our children. Here we have the Seder Plate. And the Seder Plate has the arm of an animal. The arm of the animal commemorates the Passover sacrifice. We don't eat it off the Seder Plate because that would be like eating the Passover sacrifice. And we can't eat the Passover sacrifice because we don't have a temple. The egg symbolizes the second sacrifice that we brought to the temple on Passover, which is the sacrifice of the chagigah, of the celebration. The egg is a symbol of sadness and mourning because we remember the sacrifice of the chagigah that we can't bring anymore to the temple in Jerusalem because the temple is still not built. Next, we have some bitter herbs, some karpas that we dip in salt water, and some charoset. The charoset reminds us of the mortar the people of Israel used in between the bricks while they were building in the land of Egypt. The bitter herbs remind us of the bitter lives our fathers and mothers had in Egypt. And the karpas, which is dipped in salt water, reminds us of the tears, their salty tears that they cried in Egypt. All this reminds us not to take our freedom for granted. And then we have the 3 matzahs. The 3 matzahs symbolize the 3 times we eat matzah during the Seder. The first time we eat matzah is for the mitzvah of eating matzah. The second time we eat matzah is to commemorate the Passover sacrifice that was eaten with matzah and bitter herbs. And the third time we eat matzah is after you kids find the afikomen. And the afikomen is eaten at the end of the Seder, and nothing is eaten after it to leave the flavor of the matzah inside our mouth. So, these are great ways to make the Seder interesting and fun, but it's always good to add on to these ideas to keep the kids awake all through the night of the Seder. So I made a little lamb for marshmallows, and as we know, the people of Israel ate the Pesach sacrifice in haste, in hurry, because the people of Egypt, the Egyptians, scurried them out of Egypt and they didn't have time to, sit down and have this long meal. So we can imitate our forefathers and eat our Passover sacrifice made out of marshmallows in haste. And Another tradition that I personally love is a tradition that comes from Persia, from the Jews that come from Iran. And they take scallions, these green scallions, and use them as whips and hit each other over the head while singing Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu. And no kid wants to miss out on this tradition and miss the opportunity to hit someone over the head with a green scallion, so that definitely leaves the kids up late at night. And of course, another great thing to help the kids stay awake through the Seder is a colorful Haggadah with some illustrations inside that makes the Seder so much more interesting and fun for the kids. And you can even read it and rehearse it before the night of the Seder to make the Seder so much more fun for the kids. So I would love if you could ask your mom or dad to write your traditions in the comments below so we could all learn from everyone's traditions, and I can see what your traditions are, and everyone who sees the video can get ideas from one another to make our Seder fun and make it interesting for the kids, because the commandment of making the Passover Seder is for the kids. So I hope you all enjoyed the video and have a happy and kosher Passover.